man, what is going on? It's your boy. You all, it is your neighborhood Prince of Botch, baby. Your boy Dwayne is back with yet another episode of the Life's of Botch podcast, baby. And you already know, man, like I already told y'all, first and foremost, I just want to say, y'all, we are on the road to 50 episodes. We are about 5 episodes away. And once this episode posts to you guys, there'll be about 4 episodes away from the big 5-0. So y'all already know your boy got some stuff really planned for y'all in that big 5-0 episode. So y'all stay tuned. I just want to thank y'all for being on this journey with me and just rocking with your boy in such a short amount of time. So thank you, the listeners out there, for always being so faithful and helping this show just continue to grow, baby. It's all about you. Now, y'all already know how we do. We got guests that always come on to this show, so I always want to have a great time with y'all. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my past 4 part series on the from Black History Month. We did a nice dope series where I had to sit down with different people and we talked about influential Black wrestlers in our lives that really inspired us growing up. You know what I'm saying? And now with the guest that we have on today, what's so cool about this one is, ladies and gentlemen, it is March. We are in International Women's History Month, baby. So you already know this guest is actually helping me start this month off right, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, allow me to introduce such a special guest. I'm excited to be interviewing someone I know I definitely grew up loving and definitely love seeing on a weekly basis on my television screen. I know you guys and girls out there did as well. So without further ado, allow me to introduce a woman who is, you would say, how can we do this? Let's see. First and foremost, she is your resident. You may know her from a certain contest known as the Diva Search. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, very dope contest where ladies got to come out and, show what they were made of, why they wanted to be a WWE diva. And they went through so many different challenges, obstacles, and all kinds of up and downs, just things that were entertaining in the world. But she is also more than just your WWE diva, ladies and gentlemen, because we saw this woman grow right before us and become a Playboy cover girl. We saw her become a natural when she made her way all the way to the top of the mountain and became your residential WWE Women's Champion. Not the Divas too, ladies and gentlemen. That's the cool thing about it. That was before the Divas era. So she's actually one of the few who actually won the last true women's championship before the Divas Championship era began. So there's that. And of course, I can't forget this accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen, because she is actually your residential 24/7 champion as well. So she's actually even held the 24/7 championship. And there's a nice little website builder you guys might know. If you didn't already know, you've seen her in your Super Bowl halftime commercials. You've seen her all over for a nice company by the name of GoDaddy. That's right, you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, the one, the only, the sensational Candice Michelle. What's going on?
Wow, thank you so much. Can I carry you around with me?
Oh, of course. Listen, anytime. Listen, this is what I do. Okay, this is kind of my thing. I love to give the guests that come onto this show a real good, energetic platform. You know what I mean? So that when they come in here, they know, like, wow. Oh man, you just took all my accomplishments and made them sound like super energetic. So hey,
Yeah.
listen, it's an honor.
Well, you did a very good job, so thank you.
Thank you. And again, this stuff just comes off the fly. So it's nothing that I just read, you know what I mean? It just like comes off the fly. But welcome to the show, Miss Candice Michelle. It is such an honor to meet you, from a personal fan growing up, you know what I mean? And then also just as a person now looking back at your accomplishments and the things you have done throughout the WWE. It is such an honor to sit with you and talk to you. So first things first, let's just catch up on Miss Candice Michelle. Let's see how you doing. I mean, how's life been going for you? How's motherhood, familyhood? What's Candice Michelle been up to these days?
Wow, a lot. Everybody is obviously going through this new age of this pandemic and figuring things out. So I think everybody's had to become very creative. And like you said, I have three little girls and
Yeah.
I'm homeschooling them. So that's a full-time
Wow.
job in itself. I
Yes.
also launched a show called The Good Champs. My husband and I do this live every Friday where we just give nuggets of gold and take people on this journey to become their best selves.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a coaching program that I run and operate, and I do one on one coaching for your mentality, how to be your best self, how to achieve your dreams.
Yes.
And and so it's kind of a full plate, but it's been awesome.
Oh man, it definitely sounds like a full plate. I mean, talk about still carrying the title of Superwoman on your hands. I mean, from WWE diva and superstar, like, and literally now carrying all of this on top of that post WWE life. That is amazing. Definitely, I love the inspirational side. What you mentioned about bringing out a person's true self, like that is so amazing because I actually went back and I got to see your TED Talk presentation, and I really, really enjoyed that so much because of the fact that the way you were telling your story, which we'll definitely get into, but it was so cool to see how you were able to take the common cliche that people like to say, a casual fan or
Mhm.
someone who may not even really be a legit fan like that, but they're outside looking in, and here they are saying this, oh, wrestling's the F word that Life
Mhm.
Savage knows I won't use, but still, to say that and turn that around and show them your journey and give them your perspective of what it was like in and out. It is so cool to see you inspiring people. I saw that in your presentation, and I could tell you really are bringing the best inspiration out of people. So that is amazing to see. Like, how did that TED Talk come about? Like, what was it like presenting that presentation the way you did?
Yeah, well, thank you for all of that, first of all. And thank you for taking the time to watch because it was such a journey for me. I discovered in a very random way what my next, what I would say career is, not after motherhood, because I'm still a mother, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to be that full time stay at home mom anymore. I knew
Mhm.
there was more purpose of me doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
And it all started over a cup of coffee. I love bulletproof coffee. And after having three babies, as you
Mhm.
know, most women put on a lot of weight.
Right.
And it's not easy to lose that weight. You think, oh, the baby's out, I should be back to normal. And it wasn't easy for me. It was like pound by pound by pound. And it was
Yeah.
really difficult. And I discovered bulletproof coffee. And I should be a spokesmodel for them, but I'm not. This is just truly my story.
Yeah.
I remember going to their conference. It was a bulletproof conference, which it was a 3-day weekend, and
Mhm.
they would talk about all health things. Dave Asprey does all life hacks, like for life, for sleeping, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. Like just feed my healthy side of my body.
Mhm.
And I go to this conference, and this football player gets up on the stage, an old football player, one played in the Super Bowl. His name's Bo Eason, and
Mhm.
he gives this massive performance. And when you're just connected to somebody, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's got, but I know I want it. And then they
Yes.
did these break-off sessions, and I went to his break-off session, and I just knew I needed to take his seminar. And his
Yeah.
seminar I took, and then I trained with him for a whole year. And I never even knew he was training me to be a public speaker. I
Mhm.
was like, all of a sudden it hit me, I'm like, wait, I'm taking a class for public speaking? Like, how am I paying all this money? I don't even know what the class is about.
Yes.
And it was just a journey of following what I love. People are always like, what are you passionate about? And I love the word passion, but it's so overused that
Yes.
people think they don't have it or they can't achieve. what their goals are that they're passionate about. But it's really about
Yeah.
following that energy, right? So I
Right.
just followed my energy. And as I trained for this, I created my story and I worked on it. And one of the guys in there was putting on a TED show
Mhm.
event, and he asked me if I would be a speaker. He saw me performing, he saw me working my craft, for over a year. And so I
Mhm.
got that invite, and then it took me another year to prepare that talk. Like that was a
Gotcha.
year of work, like writing, rewriting. What is my statement? What stories do I want to tell? I had so much to tell. I had just been on the road for 5 years, and then I was a
Yeah.
mom for 5 years, and I was like, I got so much I want to share with the world, but I
Yeah.
have 12 minutes. How do you condense all that in 12 minutes? And so that's where the TED Talk was born from. And so I'm happy
Wow.
you enjoyed it because it was a piece of art for me.
Oh yes, yes. Again, phenomenal job how you were able to structure that, and I can relate because in my time in college, being in public speaking myself, mass communication major, I can totally relate to that. Now, again, this seems to be a natural thing for your boy, so I don't know how I was able to just naturally be like, oh, okay, I have 10 minutes to do a speech on something, and just present this for the class. Classmates freaking out, like, I don't know how to do this. How do I time it? And it was like, just get you a time watch, get it to a little stopwatch and just, write your speech out and just look at the clock and see what you get, So I don't know. It's crazy, but hey, enter podcasting, right? So this is
Right.
this it becomes a natural thing. But yes, you did so phenomenal with that. And so let's kind of talk into Candice Michelle on the come up, because I love how you set everything up. And let's go ahead and do like what you did in TED Talk where you started off. And let's talk about the journey of what brought Candice Michelle, the lovable lady that, had the GoDaddy dance and literally brought the wand for the girls that they adapted in love. Like, let's talk about before all of that came about, what made Candice Michelle say, I am going to enter into the world of professional wrestling?
Well, actually, it came in a very roundabout way. I
Mhm.
grew up on professional wrestling. I watched it every Monday night. I
Mhm.
would climb on the couch with my stepdad, Ken. You
Mhm.
heard this in the TED Talk.
Yeah.
That was my reality. I had a Hulk Hogan doll instead of a Barbie doll. And
Wow.
I remember my first show at maybe about 8 years old.
Hmm.
Like it was my life. But I never knew you could do that. I didn't know there was a wrestling school or that could be a career. Like for me, it was like these were real life superheroes. Like you
Yeah.
can't become those people. And then I moved to Hollywood to make my dreams come true, and I was
Yeah.
hustling and bustling for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And my agent calls me, he's like, and he totally downplayed it. He was like, so I got this like weird audition, it wasn't like a magazine cover. And he's
Hmm.
like, it's the WWE and they're gonna hold this, it's like a Diva Search contest. But the
Hmm.
winner's gonna get $100,000 in a 1 year contract. Like he was excited about that because he's gonna get 10%, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, are you interested in even doing this? And I was like, heck yeah, I am, because I grew up on that. And I remember that moment so much because I was like, wait, will this come full circle? Like,
Hmm.
that was kind of a dream, but I didn't know it could be a dream. I maybe didn't even know what the dream was. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, when you just follow that energy, it's like that opportunity presents itself. And
Yeah.
then I had that opportunity to audition and go on with WWE.
Wow. Like, and let me ask you about that, behind the scenes, because when I remember being, like a early to mid teenager at the time when the Diva Search was a thing and started out. And it kind of reminded me, like, like Tough Enough was, only for the ladies this time, something for the
Mm-hmm.
ladies to shine. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is cool. I always loved when the WWE did these different type of events to put people on and platform them, give them an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
live out their dreams. So I was always curious about that, like how did that really feel, because a lot of times a fan may just see what's on the camera. Like, you see, the audition, they take you a little bit through it, But of course, it's edits, and so with little TV time, you don't really see everything of what that's like. What was that process really like for you behind the curtain? Like, how did that feel?
Yeah.
Again, you said your agent kind of played it off like, oh well, yeah, but you get 100,000, you
Yeah.
get this money, and you get a year contract. So of course, that's the exciting part. But for you, it was like, this is like a dream to live. So how
Hmm.
did that really feel going through that process in real time?
Well, most of it felt really great because I just knew I was meant for this job.
Hmm.
And I remember the time when I got cut. I think I made it in the top 10, maybe seven, eight, something around there. And
Yeah.
when I got cut, I got cut every day of my life. I was in Hollywood auditioning. So you build up a callus to that, right? Like
Hmm.
that's normal for you. Like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you get, 1% or 10% of the jobs that you audition for, you're considered to be in the top percentage out here in
Yeah.
Hollywood. So when
Yeah.
I got cut from this one, that's what really stung because I was like, I'm meant for this. It
Hmm.
wasn't like, oh, maybe they wanted somebody blonde or
Hmm.
somebody, more this or more that, or
Hmm.
maybe I bombed the audition. Like it wasn't anything like that. And so this one stung when I left. It hurt. I was
Wow.
confused and went home thinking, wow, how did I not get that?
Yeah.
And it was about a month later, I believe, when the contest ended. They had to finish out the contest and airing
Yeah.
that. And
Uh-huh.
that's when I got that call. And now they're offering me a 3-year deal. And I was just like,
Wow.
wow, like that was a
Yeah.
1-year deal. Yeah, there was $100,000 attached to it, but I'm never attached to like a big win. I'm always attached to, all right, let's start training. Let's start
Yeah.
that journey. For me, it's
Yes.
about that journey, about putting in the work. You
Come
put in the
on.
work, then you get the title, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so that for me was just awesome to be called back and acknowledge that this is really what I wanted to do.
Yes, yes, and I mean it shows because I always love that. I mean, even with shows like I mentioned with the Tough Enoughs, the Diva Search, you saw like even though there only had to be one winner, you knew, and of course they knew from seeing a lot of you girls out there doing your thing. Like, you guys, certain ones have it factors because it's when you look back. It was funny when I look back sometimes at some of the older Diva Search winners and contestants, and I'm like, man, she came from the Diva Search. She came from the Diva Search, and like you're like, whoa, like I mean, I believe Michelle McCool was a part of the Diva
Mhm.
Search. I know Layla was a part of the Diva Search. Like
Mhm.
and so many different women who went on like yourself to succeed, go through the days of the road and being in the ring and being memorable figures. It's just amazing to see. Again, it's just a lot. Like what's crazy about these different contests, like you think like, okay, it's just a contest, it's for show, and then you're like the work is put in behind the scenes, and now look, I just
Mhm.
started out here and look at me now. So that is so amazing to see your blossom. What I love about yourself and your career is it very much to me resembles, and really a lot of you ladies who came from the divas era, right? The diva,
Mhm.
as they call it, the days of the divas era. Like I really appreciate most looking back at you guys' era. I really appreciate the fact that there was a lot of transition going on at
Mhm.
that time, right? Because the attitude era, as you know, it blended in with the sex appeal, but you had the women wrestling, you had your Ivories, your Jacquelines, Molly Hollies, and so many more that were, of course, your Trish and Litas that were, showing, hey, we look good, yes, but we can also get in here and mix it up. And with the
Mhm.
Divas era, what I really liked is it was kind of like you guys were like, a lot of people look at Trish Stratus as that point, that set of, okay, going from being a model to really working and putting in the grind to be like
Mhm.
a top person. And you guys really followed a lot more after that, and took that a step further even more, and really evolved. And so for you, like, to see you get the call, with everything you went through, all the different phases, the gimmick matches of, like you mentioned, like a pudding match or a pillow fight type of match, like lingerie matches or, paddle on the pole match, just different, like all these different matches, which, to a preteen, back then, it's like, well, okay, this is cool to see because I'm a teenage kid, I'm a teenage boy. So, like, all right, this is cool, like in a way. But again, as I got older and I started looking beyond that with the women's wrestlers, and I look back at what you guys went through, you guys paved such a way for what the women show today that, I feel like you guys don't get enough credit from fans sometimes because they almost look at that as like, oh, those were the women who couldn't wrestle. They just looked good. They were this and that. But then you're like, nah, dude, like if you really look at the work they were putting in, man, they did their best to show, hey, I know we look good and we got this appeal, but look, we can go when we want to go. Like just give us an opportunity. And you got that opportunity because again, what I love about your career so far, I looked back and I saw you've been in the ring with a lot of the greats. You got to wrestle Beth Phoenix and you had a nice rivalry with her. You had you went over Lita in a one-on-one singles match, which really catapulted and showed like you were on your way up. You beat Melina for the championship, which we'll get into, and like I look at the fact that you got to wrestle Trish and Victoria and so many different awesome, amazing ladies who have gotten their credit due. And I look at you and I say, okay, her credit is on to come up because I feel like you're like the dark horse throughout all of women's wrestling right now. The woman who really, again, like a Trish, you came through and you worked your way up, you fought through the dirt sheets, and you became the champion. Like, talk us to that moment of what that felt like working so hard to finally get that opportunity and to go over and become the women's champion.
Yeah, for me, it's all about, like I said, the training. It's what I do now, and it's what I was good at then.
Mhm.
I would go to these house shows 2 hours early while the refs were setting up the ring, and I would get in the ring, and the refs would start to teach me. It was a gift to be put on TV right away, but the downside of that is I never got to go to a wrestling school. I never got to learn how to bump or how to take a move or how to give a move. It's just like, okay, I'm here and I want to do this. How am I going to learn? But I'm already on TV. And
Mhm.
so I would go 2 hours early every time. And those refs were amazing. They would set up the ring, they'd get in there. They're wrestlers too. And they would help me out and they would teach me and start wrestling with me. And then I come home. I paid $3 a day for the crappiest ring here. There was another uh, promotion out here that I would go and Joey Ryan and another guy, they would come out and they would just train with me. I mean, they were
Yeah.
so awesome to get in that ring, and I had to put in the work. And so when you
Yeah.
put in the work over and over and over, you're gonna finally get that opportunity. And
Yeah.
to some people, they just think, oh, she was just given this title, but it was years of me doing that. It wasn't, I
Yes.
just didn't walk in and then get it. And we
Yeah.
all know Vince McMahon will never just give it to somebody.
Oh
That
no, never.
titles have so much meaning. He sees
Yeah.
the work, he sees the effort.
Yes.
And I'll remember that night. And I just promised myself, you
Mm.
work so hard for something. And
Yes.
when you get it, it's going to last for a moment. A
Mm.
moment. By the next night, it's gone because now everybody in the locker room is chasing me. Now I got to work twice as hard.
Yes. Yes.
And I just promised myself, I said, don't plan how I'm going to feel. Don't
Yes.
plan like I'll go to this turnbuckle or I'll hold the title properly and I don't even
Mhm.
know how to hold the title or what is my pose with the title because I've never had the title. Like
Yes.
I was like, just be in that moment. And there's this pose all over the internet of me standing on the turnbuckle,
Yes.
crying, and it's awesome because I'm wearing the grossest black dingiest bra and my shirt's ripped off And I
Yeah.
promise if I meant to do that, I would have wore a cute lace bra. But, this one is like, I just look like a hot mess. But it was that moment, and I just appreciated it. I remember specifically making eye contact with some of those fans, like,
Yes.
hey, you got me, you got me, you got me, you hate me, you hate me, you love me. Okay,
Yes.
let's go
Yeah.
on this journey, right? Because you can
Yes.
love me or hate me, but we're going on the journey,
Yes. Yes.
And after that was really cool. One of my favorite moments of wrestling was I go back to the locker room
Mm-hmm.
and I am changing, or I'm about to shower,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden there's a knock on the locker room door, and the other girls are like, "Hey, Candice, Vince is at the door." And I'm like, "Fudge, what did I do?" Like Vince never leaves Gorilla. He's always in there. He runs the whole show. And
Yes.
so I put on a towel real quick and I run out. I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "Nice job, champ." And that
Yeah.
was it. And I just knew in that moment he saw the work I was putting in. It was that little validation, like, now the real work's gonna start. But
Oh
just such
man.
a beautiful moment.
Yes, it really was. And again, one of my favorite women's championship reigns for sure, because you did everything you could to make that work as much as possible. And like I said, you worked with some of the greatest women's wrestling talent, which I really found that so amazing when I look back at your run with the title, when I look back at how you got that rocket strap, as they say in business, they took you and catapulted it. And I just really applaud you, especially even now with knowing that you were one of the ones who didn't even really get to go to a wrestling school, to just be catapulted from a model diva search to working your way while being on TV, while doing gimmick matches, and to get the championship and literally run with it as best as you can, becoming a fan favorite. Like, I applaud you so much for that. And
Thank you.
it takes a lot, to be able to do that. So again, I personally appreciate you. I appreciate the era of the divas. Again, for me being a teenage boy, of course, at that time, you're looking at looks most of the time, right? But then when you look back again, as you mature, as you get older, and you look back, you're like, man, these women really tore the house down as much as they could. So I would like to ask you, actually, as a woman who is a former women's champion, and the evolution of women's wrestling from being in the era where there were a lot of heavy gimmicked matches and still making those work as best as you could to entertain the fans. Uh, how do you personally feel about the evolution of women's wrestling, from having an all women's Royal Rumble, having literally main eventing a Hell in a Cell match, and literally just all the different things that the women continually do to this day? How does that make you feel, knowing that you're part of history and building what led up to these type of events?
Honestly, it makes me so proud. I mean, we worked so hard. We loved being known as the pretty ladies. Everybody, every woman,
Mhm.
most women,
Yeah.
you desire to be pretty,
Yes, yes,
However, we had so much talent to offer. And like you
yes,
said, we were trying to squeeze that in as much as we could, as best as we could, and
yeah.
pave the way, get more time. I mean, sometimes I had a match that was 3 minutes long and we had two
Mhm.
entrances that were 2 minutes. So how do you tell a story in 1 minute? You got to
Exactly.
get really creative and you got to really hone in on that craft. But to
Yes,
see where all of that has led to,
yes,
it's incredible. I mean, you see them, these women are still stunning, some of the most
yes,
beautiful women in the world,
yes.
and the most incredible athletes. So now that they get that time and they can tell that story and show their gifts, both physical and outside appearance, it's an
Okay.
incredible time for women in wrestling. And so I'm just so proud of them. They're hustling and bustling and making a difference, not
Yeah.
just in wrestling but on the planet, right?
Oh
Like
yes,
wrestling
yes.
is really about you put yourself in somebody's shoes.
Mhm.
You know, you see somebody that's getting the crap beat out of them, that they're in the heat, and then all of a sudden they have this massive comeback. But we're
Yes.
all like that in our own lives. You know, we get hit like the pandemic, right? How many
Right.
people are down, lost their jobs, lost friends, lost marriages? You know, you get in that heat. But when you
Yes.
see that if somebody in the ring can get out of that, you're kind of like, maybe I can get out of this too and have a comeback, you know? Like, all
Yes. Yeah.
right, this guy just did that. And so
Yeah.
it's really these women are part of a legacy and really reaching out to wrestling's in like 800 million homes just from WWE. So the
Yes.
people that it can touch, especially right now when
Yeah.
suicide's at an all-time high, you know, when
Yeah.
people are super depressed or don't know how to fight through these times, you know, this gives them life. It gives them opportunity. It gives them that remembrance that they can have a comeback if they keep pushing through, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree because again, it's just and this is why I personally want to give, again, you being one of the first women from the Divas era that I've had the pleasure of like getting to know. I definitely want to personally give you and you ladies from your era your flowers. You know what I mean? Because it again signifies that a lot of the women wouldn't probably be where they are today had you
Mm-hmm.
guys, because again, when they talk about how the women's revolution started, right? It was, fans getting sick and tired of, like you said, having 1 minute to try to tell a story or 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
And now, personally, what I really think goes under the radar with you ladies in your era was you guys were actually incorporated in a lot of storylines at that time, right? Like I think, for example, like when you and John Cena main evented in a tag match, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a champions match where it's a handicap match, and it's telling the story of all odds are against John Cena, because
Oh,
his tag team partner is the women's champion, and she's in
yeah.
here with all of these men, looking terrified, but you got in there anyway, doing as best as you could,
Yeah.
like and to tell stories like that, you ladies were incorporated in a lot of different storylines, as at that time, which again, now the ladies of today definitely have developed their own storylines, and they're getting better with it. But again, it felt so different with you ladies back then, because like they literally created you guys in different types of stories. So I like to give you guys your flowers for again working with everything that you could and making the best situation out of it to make entertainment television. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally people remember you guys for everything. You know what I mean? I mean, personally, when I let people know, yeah, I got Candice Michelle coming on to the show today. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had so many different guy friends. Man, I loved her. Man, she was
Oh.
like, man, I wanted, I was convinced I was gonna marry her someday. Just all this kind of stuff, right? And you're like, hey, I totally understand that. So again, I personally want to give you your flowers on you know, going through so many of the gimmicks, so many of whatever they stuck to the wall and said, hey, you ladies are going to be doing this tonight. And it's like, okay, if we're doing this, cool. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it entertaining for the fans. And doggone, we're going to look good doing it in the process. Like that to me is completely everything. So I would love to know now. Let's talk about legends recently, of course, and I
Mhm.
see you won the 24/7 championship for a brief moment. How did it feel adding a title that well, especially because technically you took it from Kelly, and she was actually the first woman to win that championship, and you became the second woman to win
Mhm.
that championship in an instant. So how did that feel, holding up a different title in the modern era, for the time that you held it? Like, did that feel good knowing you were like 24/7 champions, for like a moment?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you hold a title, it's a
Yes.
gift, right?
Right, right.
But it's also part of that journey I keep talking about. And
Mhm.
for me, this is honestly my favorite wrestling title, which would surprise a lot of people because it was a very short-lived title reign, as you know.
Yeah.
But the reality is the meaning it has to me. So for
Mhm.
that last decade, nobody really knows the training I've been doing, right? You don't,
Yeah.
it's like that iceberg picture, right? You know, you see
Yeah.
this top, but you don't see all the work that's down here below. And
Yeah.
so you saw my TED talk, but that was like 3 years into my training. And then I created a program, 21 Day Champ, and I'm trying to promote it and I'm trying to start a whole new career over. And nobody sees that work, right?
Yeah.
But the universe sees it. And
Yes.
so when I went to this show, I honestly thought it would be like how a lot of the legends sometimes are. You're going to be in a pre tape with a bunch of other legends. You
Mhm.
probably won't say nothing. So I really went into this like, I love the company. I
Mhm.
love wrestling. I
Mhm.
love the people there. And this is an opportunity to go back, have some me time, say hi to everybody. And I went into it really lighthearted. And when
Yeah.
they told me I was going to win this title, I was just like, wow, that's that moment, right? You work, work,
Yeah.
work, 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 work. And then all of a sudden that opportunity just shows
Yes.
up. And for it
Yes.
to be 24/7 is just what I teach in my coaching, right? There's no
Yes.
arriving. There's no arriving anywhere in this life. You don't
Yes.
arrive until you leave this planet. You know, people are
Yes.
like, oh, when I'm the champion, I've made it. That lasts for a day. The next day, guess what? You might not be that champion anymore. So what are you? Are you nothing all of a sudden because you don't hold the title? You know, so
Yes.
it's like now it's next. And you're always trying to arrive somewhere instead
Mhm.
of just trying to enjoy that journey and let these opportunities remind you that this is the journey you're supposed to be on. Because sometimes we get those opportunities that say, you better steer left. Oh, this ain't the right path for you. And you're like, I don't want to go going right my whole life. And you're like, go left, otherwise you're gonna get hurt, you know?
Come on. Come on.
And so you gotta recognize those things and just appreciate those little moments when you get recognized because it helps you go for the next couple of years, you know, like,
Oh
all
yes.
right, let's get that hustle back on, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, agreed. And who's to say, what's the beauty, like you said, about this championship? Now I'm sure a guest who I've also had on this show before. He was actually one of my first major guests. My boy, who is illustrious for this very championship. My boy Art Truth, getting his baby back, as he calls it. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Miss Candice Michelle pop back up at some point and kind of get that moment again of having that championship for a lot longer than the last time to be able to signify, take it to the next TED talk. Like you see, ladies and gentlemen, 24/7 grind, and you become a
Mm-hmm.
24/7 champion, and then who comes our truth out of nowhere to get his baby back? I don't know, something just
You
just to
know, if
signify,
I can
right?
have an opportunity to work with R Truth, I mean, I worked with him when I
Mhm.
was there for a while, and he's just so incredible. I have
Yes.
no idea how this man has the energy that he has, like after
Yes.
all these years, and and his age, like I'm just like, you are like a firecracker. Like you just want to be around him and absorb his energy, and you can
Yes.
feel that like on his social media accounts, and you're like, dude, this guy is just so much fun. And like I see him
Isn't
with
he?
his kids, I'm like, his kids gotta have like, I think he's the best dad ever. You know,
I'm
like he's
telling
just
you.
filled. He's truly filled with life. Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
not many people have that gift that he has. And he comes out and his rapping and his songs. And you're like, you just wanna like
Come
if you
on, you
come
feel it?
out with him to his entrance, like
Yes.
what you feel is like on a different planet. But he's
Yes.
created that, he's put in the work and time for that. And
Come
he's a
on.
beautiful human. Like if I get
Yes.
an opportunity to do anything with him around that title, that would be
That would be
like
great.
incredible. Yeah.
Come on, Vince, book it. Come on now. You can't tell me that would not be awesome. Like, come on, Vince. I mean, if I have to help campaign this thing, please allow me. I will totally say, Vince, let's make this happen. Bring my two favorite people onto this platform and allow them to work an angle with this title. He's got to get it back from Bad Bunny first, but when he does get it back, eventually, some kind of weird way, somehow, when he gets his baby back, Vince, let's book it. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, but Miss Michelle, now given I keep bringing you back to modern day with today's women because again you've had chances to mingle and meet and see a lot of today's women. Now I wonder, we saw the all women's Royal Rumble not too ago earlier this year, and I've always thought to myself, because we saw some surprise entries. We saw Miss Victoria make her return, which was so great to see. We saw, oh my gosh, there was so many different illustrious terms. I'm trying to remember them all right now, but like, it's just cool to see, Kelly, of course, always making her returns. We see so many different people who have had the opportunity to come, and I've always wondered. I'm like, as a former women's champion, is there any possibility we see Candice Michelle, especially with the grind, as you mentioned, talking about that grind, talking about going at it one more time, any chance we see Candice Michelle not only surprise entrance her way into the Women's Royal Rumble, but dare I say, win the Royal Rumble, go on to WrestleMania, and dare I say, challenge either the SmackDown or the Raw Women's Champion to win the championship right at the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania, one more time? Is it possible? Can we hold our breath or what? What we got?
Honestly, something like that is always possible. Like once wrestling's in your heart, it's in your heart. Yeah. And this last Royal Rumble that happened, it was funny because actually somehow they promoted me, but I was just not invited. And so all these podcasts wanted me on, like, why did I no-show WWE? Because they promoted it. And the truth is I just didn't make the cut. And it's one of those things where you're like, you might not make the cut, but I always make the headline, right? Yeah. And so it's how do you take that? Because all of us get cut somehow in this life, right? Maybe somebody doesn't like you, somebody bullies you, you lose a job, but you get to write your own story. And for me, what that means is I still got some work to put in, right? And because when they see me and they see me flourishing, WWE's that company, they're like, hey, let's get her back here, And so I've been behind the scenes. So I'm like, all right, time to start stepping on my game a little, and you get that recognition when it's ready for you to be recognized. Yes. And it wasn't ready for me then, apparently. Yeah. But when you get called back for that, for me, it's that mentality comes to the forefront so fast. You're like, I'm winning the title. I haven't wrestled in a decade, but get me in that ring and let's go. I'll worry about how I feel tomorrow. And even my girlfriends, Tori was there, Victoria was there, and loved it. They had a great time. They looked amazing. They knocked it out of the park. Yes. And the next day they're like, damn, I feel like a truck hit me. Because we forget what it feels like. Our bodies aren't used to that. Yeah. But if I have that opportunity, I run with those opportunities the best I can. And that would be awesome.
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of the marks out there for sure are going to be like, as soon as they hear, let me show you what love is. Let me show you how to move your body. I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, the fans are going to go crazy. They're going to know what's coming out. Here comes the one. Here comes the GoDaddy twirl. Run down to the ring, and next thing you know, Candice Michelle is in the Royal Rumble, and book it, ladies and gentlemen. When she gets there, I guarantee you are going to see your next Royal Rumble winner. Because again, we've seen where a veteran has yet to actually win that Royal Rumble. So you could make history and be the first woman to come forth as a veteran, Yeah, you see? Think about it. Listen. Listen,
Yeah.
listen. This ain't that type of booking that you just come out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Your boy thinks about these things, and I realized I was watching because again, there's only been a few Royal Rumbles in recent memory for the ladies right now. So you still have very much the opportunity to make history and be the first veteran, because we saw with Bianca Belair, the first African American woman to win the Royal Rumble,
Mhm.
after really setting the record for tying with eliminations all time. So there's
Mhm.
records that are still yet to be set in what's
Totally.
a long trail for the women in Royal Rumble. So I would love to see you be the first veteran to come out and literally win the Royal Rumble to where it'll be like some of the fans may say, "Oh, part-time mania, here we go, this and that," but it's like, hey, who's to say, Brock Lesnar's won a Royal Rumble, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different people Batista came back and won a Royal Rumble, so like,
Mhm.
hey, who's to say Candice Michelle can't be the first veteran to come back and win that Royal Rumble and win the women's championship, whether it be the Raw or the SmackDown title, whichever she's feeling, So I have to say personally, Candice Michelle, again, you are truly such an inspiration. You have been an inspiration to a lot of the young girls. I mean, again, to hear how you said people like Finley, uh, rubbing it in your face at first, like, Juan, there is no way that's gonna get over. And then it gets over. And then he has to come back and quietly eat his words because his daughter actually wants an autograph Juan from you, Miss Michelle. So that's the type of stuff right there that signifies your individual greatness and what you have been able to do within the ring. And like I said, personally, I know injuries tried to derail, a career that I felt was catapulting you because again, I felt like the direction you were headed was setting you up on a similar path of that of a Trish Stratus, a woman who
Yeah.
just worked her way up from the ground, get to the main event status and literally continually just being the face of the women's division, which you definitely were, especially at a time where you were in a nice transitional period with the women who were coming up, the Natalias, the Beth Phoenixes, the Alicia Foxes, and so many people, the Bellas, all of these women who were coming up in the time, you were there to be that leader, that locker room leader. So, I know injuries definitely tried to derail that, but they did not stop you, Miss Michelle. They did not stop you. You managed to take it and you ran with it, and you still managed to show people who Candice Michelle, the aura, the woman, the phenomenal sensation, who she is, and why she is here. So before we let you go, I'm gonna try to do I haven't done this for my listeners in a while. This is actually a fun segment that I love to do with my guests, and they actually enjoy this. Now, see, you, ma'am, you have been both of these in your career. You started off, I want to say, you started off in the babyface tip, right? But then, you had a nice time where, you and Tori, and Victoria, y'all were kind of like Vince's Hell's Angels, I believe, and you guys were
Yeah.
kind of like, just on a devilish, heelish like run. So we've seen you be the heel, and we've seen you be the illustrious baby face that people get behind and cheer and love to, root for. So I introduced to you a segment that is near dear to my heart by the name of Babyface or Heel. And what we do in this segment is I just kind of randomize and I throw out a little topic or scenario here and there. And
Great.
in the process of doing that, basically all you do is you just choose on if you're gonna go babyface on this idea or this scenario, or if you're gonna
Great.
go heel on this scenario. So, for example, for example, the old common saying, right? Boys rule, girls drool, or reverse that. You probably go
Okay.
heel on that, right? You be
Okay.
like, it's a girl's world. We run the world, right? So
Okay.
that's obviously heel for you. So that's just a
Great.
nice little scenario to kind of start it off. So,
Okay.
uh,
And then, Dwayne, I have to go about 5 minutes, so just let
perfect.
me know. Okay.
Perfect. We'll let you go.
Okay.
We'll wrap that up.
All right.
So, real quick, you are a residential native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, we know that you are a cheese headed heart. So, Are you going babyface or heel when people say that Mr. Rogers doesn't have it anymore after coming up so short against Tom Brady in the playoffs this past year? Are you going babyface or heel on the idea of Aaron Rodgers calling it a career?
I'm heel on those people because if he wants it still, he's got it, of course. Like he's a champ, he's a fighter. He's going through his journey. You got to go through that heat to, get the crowd behind you. And so he's fighting for it still.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. Now, we have a producer on this very show who happens to be a residential Celtics fan, and a lot of times, the Milwaukee Bucks, as of late, have really just been on flyer, blazing it year after year, and a lot of people picture them being in the finals to go against the Boston Celtics, as people like to say, and even getting to an NBA final. So, tell me something. Uh, Now he's gonna laugh that I'm putting him under the bus here, but he doesn't seem to think that you guys have it because I mean, for some reason, you guys can't get out of the first or second round here. So I need to know, babyface or heel on Boston fans who might think you can't get over the hump and get to the next level to win that championship.
I'm going to go babyface here. Surprisingly, I'm going to side with him
What?
because at heart I'm a Lakers girl.
What?
I played basketball up to college, and basketball is dear to me. And even though I'm from Wisconsin, I just never could get behind the Bucks either. So
What?
being in LA for 22 years, I'm a Lakers fan, and I don't know that they're gonna get the Bucks are gonna come out on
I love that. That was totally out of left field right there. Now that I know I didn't expect that. The listeners didn't expect that. But trust me, I understand. I get that. So let me see if I got one more for you. Okay.
Okay.
So babyface or heel on the idea of, let's see, off the fly. Which one's a good one? Oh, smarks who uh go through, we're in the internet phase. So what do you say, babyface or heel, on those smarks who critique different divas of today, who put in the work, right? And they may not see that, but they're quick to just hashtag or say, oh, she's not gonna be, a main event type. Why are they? She should stay in catering. What do you say, babyface or heel, to some of the internet smarks
Hmm.
out there?
This one I'd actually say both, but
Mm-hmm.
and let me explain what I mean because those people made me who I am. Like when
Mm.
people said so much, oh, she botched a move, or she can't wrestle, or one day I'm too fat, one day I'm too skinny, one day my hair's not right. One person one time said, look at her eyebrows. I'm like, my eyebrows, really? Um, but that pushed me, right? It made
Mm.
me great. It's like, you think I can't do it? Let me show you I can do it. The
Yes.
part of being a heel on that is it's sad for those people.
Yes.
Like, I think if I'm that person sitting home and all I got to do with my life is shit on other people, they're living a sad life. And there's
Yes.
so many of them out there. They just wish for 1 second they could step in that ring. They just wish for one
Come
second that
on.
they could feel good about themselves, that they could
Yes.
love themselves a little bit. So they
Yes.
shit and shit and shit on other people. And it's a sad life to live. And I hope those people out there know that they're better than that. Like,
Yes.
you know?
Come on.
And so I took it and I made it good for me, but I hope that they can take this and make themselves better for them.
You know what? And that's what I'm talking about. Spoken like a true champion right there, giving them the best of both sides right there. Normally I call that the tweener post right there. That's the tweener
Oh,
answer right
okay.
there, but it works. It works. That's a good way to end that. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Thank you so much, Candice Michelle, for joining us right here on the Life's of Botch podcast, where, ladies and gentlemen, again, you just heard it from the queen herself. It's not about how much you botch in life. It's about the fact that you take your botches, make them laughable, make the best out of it. Because again, baby, we all botch. Life's a botch. That's why this show was created, to let y'all know that it's not how you do it, it's what you make out of it and how you keep going forward. So, Miss Candice Michelle, real quickly, tell the people out there who don't probably already follow you, where can they follow and find you so they can reach out and just show how much they love you?
I'd appreciate that. I'm at Mrs. Candice Michelle on Instagram. You can go to my website, CandiceMichelle.com. There's a link to our show, The Good Champs, on YouTube, on Twitter still. I'm on Facebook, Candice Michelle. Pretty easy to find with my name. So just you know what? Tap on in, especially those people out there. You know what? I love what you said about your show. I want to end on that real quick.
Yeah.
You know, Life's a Botch and why you named it that. Because one of the things I teach my children every day is, hey, did you fail today? Because if you're not failing, if you're not botching, you're not growing. You're never going to get good at anything. You know, I got so good at everything because I failed so much. You know, the dirt sheets had so much to write about me, so much shit to talk about me. But because I was so good at failing, I became so good. You know, and so keep botching it, right? Keep failing until you get it, because that's how you learn. If you don't fail, you don't botch, you don't learn, you don't grow. And so I applaud you, brother. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes,
it's been an honor.
Yes.
And God bless you and keep blessing up.
God bless you, ma'am. And again, I love the way you ended that. You know, that's a clip for the show to remind a lot of people out there, hey, you heard it from the champ herself, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly why this show is in existence. But again, thank you so much. You are family to us here on the Life's of Botch podcast. You are welcome back. Absolutely anytime you want to promote what you got going on, all that good stuff, or just want to come chop it up with your boy, because again, you see, we have fun on this show. You are more than welcome, and we love you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen,
you too, honey.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, y'all know how we do. This is the Life's of Botch podcast. It's your boy Dwayne. Follow me at Dwayne Dickey Jr. on Instagram, or follow the Life's of Botch podcast on Instagram. And until the next time, well, I like to give my signature to sweet peace, baby. Yeah.